Sometimes it seems like love is built on opposites, that two different people fit together like a puzzle to form a perfect picture. I used to believe that. Sincerely. My husband, well, my ex-husband now is life itself, like a noisy, bright firework. I remember our first meetings. Me, a quiet girl who preferred to blend into the wall in a large crowd. He literally charged me with his energy. Everyone around him laughed he was the life of any party. He loved noisy parties, hanging out with friends until morning, and his dark humor. He could joke in a way that took people's breath away. Mine, honestly, was more often taken away by disbelief and mild shock. But I loved him. I loved that storm that burst into my calm, measured world. And I was his quiet harbor, the place where his ship could come to rest from the storm. He said that himself. He said he found peace in my silence, and I found in his noise. Well, probably the life I would never have dared to live myself. But when we started talking about children, something pinched inside me. A worry. Quiet, but very persistent. I will never forget the day I went into labor. All the hustle, the pain, the fear. And him, my husband, of course, couldn't just sit still. I remember him helping me to the delivery room, fussing, joking, trying to cheer me up with some grim joke about a stork with an overload. The nurses laughed, and I just clenched my fingers and asked him to go for a walk, to get some air. I could see he was going crazy within those hospital walls. And then later, after it was all over, after the most terrifying and beautiful moment of my life was behind me, and I was lying in the hospital bed, holding our tiny, warm son to my chest. My mom, who was with me, went to the window. She said, "Look." I looked. The window overlooked the hospital's inner courtyard. And down below, on a bench, he was sitting. My husband, smoking. And through the glass, not hearing the words, but seeing the look on his face, I understood he was talking to himself. He always did that when he was very excited or scared. And looking at his hunched shoulders, I suddenly knew with absolute clarity what he was asking the universe for with all his might. I knew him like I knew myself. He was looking at the sky and saying, "Please, just let my son take after her. My quiet one. Not after me, the oaf." He was afraid. Afraid our boy would inherit his restless spirit. His love for adventures that often bordered on recklessness. He once admitted, half joking, half serious, if he acts up like I did as a kid, I'll be gray within 10 years. And his wish came true. 100%. Our son grew up to be an amazingly calm, thoughtful boy. He didn't race around the apartment, knocking everything over. He loved quiet games, drawing, could spend hours building things. His laughter was quiet and gleeful, not deafening like his father's. He didn't understand his dad's jokes. He'd frown his little brows and ask, "Daddy, why is that funny?" My husband tried at first to bring him joy in his own way. He'd toss him in the air, tickle him, try to engage him in his noisy games. But our son would cry and reach for me, for the quiet, for the calm. And I saw something in my husband's eyes dim. He got what he had asked for. He got his copy of me. And at some point, he stopped trying. Our worlds, which had once been so attracted to each other, had finally drifted apart. He went back to his friends, his parties, to the lifestyle where he could be himself. And I stayed in our quiet, cozy little world with our son. And one evening, during dinner, watching our son neatly eat his porridge without even getting it on his cheeks, he said very quietly, my wish came true. My son didn't take after me. He paused, looked at me, and in his eyes was a strange, bitter emptiness. And he's not from me either. That phrase wasn't there at the hospital. It was born later. It grew like a snowball. With each day he noticed there wasn't a single trait of his in our son. Not in character. Not even in looks. Our son was a miniature copy of me. And basically, that was the night, I think, when it all truly ended. We just stopped pretending that we were that puzzle made of opposites because it turned out our pieces didn't fit each other, but something else entirely. And now I have a son, my little quiet joy. And I have an ex-husband. That noisy firework that once lit up my sky and then burned out, leaving behind silence. And the memory of that day under the hospital, when he so sincerely asked fate for the very thing that ended up driving us apart.